once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, one and all, to a brand new edition of The Quinn Spinn. I'm your host, the Quinn. At least that's how I'm known here on the program, and literally at this point, nowhere else. And I'm back here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and more for another rousing and riveting installment of the official podcast of Underground Music Collective. Back in action from hiatus because I was getting ready for South by Southwest and to release a book. So, didn't want to just put out episodes for the sake of putting out episodes. We wanted to come strong onto your feeds here, and we are doing that today. Before I talk about our guests, I want to tell you that Revel 9's All I've Become is the song that opened the show. It's been our opening theme song here at the Quinn Spinn since the great year of 2014, and it will be until the very end of days. And I am sitting right here with Mary Jennings, who is an artist, musician, performer, all-around good soul, has a lot of projects in the works, and always a lot going on. So, Mary, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule for joining us here today.
Well, sure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And now, so I introduced you, but I'm going to give you the chance to introduce you, and we do that here at the Quinn Spinn by asking you the three standard questions. Those questions are, who are you, what are your passions, and why on earth would you want to come on the Quinn Spinn?
Well, I am Mary Jennings. I'm a musician and singer-songwriter, also a bolo time maker, the mother to an awesome kid, a colossal weirdo, and horror movie fanatic. And why would I want to come on the Quinn Spinn? To hang out with you, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. I like colossal weirdo.
Oh, yeah.
I think I need to work that into the description somehow.
Yeah, 100%.
We support colossal weirdos here at the show and at UMC in general. So thank you for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And so I want to take it back to the beginning, as far back as you want to go. Tell us a little bit about yourself, the formative experiences, the people, the places, of course, the artists that inspired you on your creative path.
Well, let's see. I'll try and make it as succinct as possible, I guess. But music and theater and basically anything arty has been in my life since I was a little kid. I come from a family that they're either musicians or love music, and I've had pianos in pretty much every house that I've grown up in, whether it was my parents' houses or my grandparents' houses. So there was never any limit on me being able to play or be creative. So I think that's really how I gravitated towards that instrument. And then songwriting just became a way for me to express myself and my feelings and being, emotional. And again, I was a drama queen when I was a kid, and I'm still one now. So I guess it makes sense. And then it just kind of became, real catharsis to write music over time. And it's at this point a need more than anything.
Yeah. So, yeah. We all need that outlet. We all need that thing that we can channel our energy into when life is lifing, right?
Yes, 100%.
And I think we've all experienced that. We all experience that from time to time, even now. It never stops. And when life happens, like, it's good to just have that thing that you can go to, that you can pour the energy into.
Absolutely.
Especially like when, life feels a little extreme. It can feel like you're trying to contain like nuclear fallout. You got to direct it somewhere. That energy is going to go haywire, right? So absolutely support that idea of catharsis through art, whatever your art is here. And so that came to the forefront for you fairly young.
Yes.
2001, you lost your mother unexpectedly, and you've gone on record to say that music is really what helped you through that time. So take us through that time a little bit and how music came into greater view in your life around that time.
Sure. So, I had been writing songs prior to that. Like, I started really writing songs in high school and, did my first gig doing my own music at the local coffee shop and, had a lot of support from my family in that way. And I went off to college and continued to do it there. But then my freshman year of college, my mom died very suddenly and tragically in an accident. And, she was 46 years old. And I think in that moment, in that moment, I realized I could spend my life trying to fit some sort of narrow path that may or may not be comfortable, or do exactly what I want to do, which is music. And, I had started off in college as a theater major, but that didn't feel right anymore, which was weird. I think because I had real life drama all of a sudden, that theater drama was like, I don't know. It just didn't work for me.
Right.
So I continued to do my music on the side. and then became a political science major with a concentration in women's studies to like have a fallback plan if I needed it.
Right.
But that first summer after she passed, I had all of these songs. And my dad was actually really great. He was like, you know, you want to, you know, have the summer to yourself to work on like cleaning out your mom's things and things like that. And you can have, we can, you know, get you some therapy, or also you have all these music. What if, you know, these songs, what if we record an album? Like, what if you know, I'd be happy to set up a situation where you could do that. And I obviously chose album. I think obviously he'd done therapy and all the things, whatever I needed, he would probably done. But the album idea was really cool. And so through mutual friends, he lived here. I had grown up in Gainesville, Georgia. And so he, through mutual friends, found somebody to do an album for me. And the first album was back then I used to just go by Jennings. And it was a self-titled album called Jennings, because that's what somebody told me to do. But Mark Allen was the producer of that, and we had a great bond. And it really, I mean, it plowed me through that year, and really ever since then. Yeah.
It's amazing to see, you know, when these events happen in our lives, the shifts that take place internally. And sometimes those shifts, you know, they hit all at once, especially in the case of something sudden like that. Yeah. But the effects of those things also, like, we start to even realize, you know, how it changed us months, years after the fact. Was there anything that you noticed along the way that like had shifted in you? You had mentioned, of course, like shifting away from musical theater toward poli-sci and then diving in your music. Were there any other shifts that you noticed that inspired you creatively in the process?
I mean, I think I have shifts even still today that inspire change in my music, or, you know, song ideas and things like that. And, you know, honestly, still the grief of my mom affects things even now, because when you lose your mom at 18, there are a whole lot of life firsts that you will go through that you should have your mom by your side that you don't, whether it's a wedding day or the birth of your child, or, you know, all the questions that you may have to ask throughout any of those things. And so life is full of surprises in that way, and changes. And, you know, I moved from, you know, I finished college and moved back to Nashville and lived here for a while, then moved up to New York City for 8 years. And like that was full of changes. So yeah, I mean, I think that every aspect of life and every day that has gone by provides something that can shift or change your music.
Absolutely.
Or inspire music.
I just want to get rid of that screen because I don't want the computer.
Sure. Sure. I'm not worried about it.
I didn't want that to mess us up here. And so another major life event, of course, that's inspired you and impacted you ever since was the birth of your daughter.
Yes.
Right. So motherhood, of course, bringing about this new station in life, especially going through that without your mother, you know, those early days of raising a child and kind of figuring out what that means, what that entails. How has that all informed your perspective and informed your creative process?
Oh, man. Again, do you want to write an entire novel about that? Because we absolutely can.
Well, I mean, yeah, let's do it.
I feel like having a child changes everything. And, you know, I would have loved to have had my mom around to ask certain questions too, because I think there's a narrative that happens for women that's like having a baby is the best thing that can ever happen to you. And that is true, but nobody ever talks to you about a lot of the things that are difficult in that process too. The lack of, or not the lack of, but the loss of some autonomy. And I had postpartum depression, and that was really hard. And also even just having a child was difficult. You know, I had a miscarriage first and then had Eliza. So there was a lot of things, there were a lot of things throughout that process that I would really love to have had my mom by my side. And I think instead of having, I've had friends and other family members I've talked to a ton, but also the music has really been an outlet to just word vomit all the feelings, right? Like just get it all out. And there are periods of time where I don't feel as inspired to write because I'm in the thick of something, but it'll come back up later on. But honestly, having Eliza is the best thing that has ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Being her mom is my favorite thing in the world. It may sound goofy and nerdy, but she is my favorite. So I think that has also helped me feel so motivated to keep doing all of the artistic things. And it's helped me feel childlike all over again as well.
Because she's watching all the while.
Always,
right?
yes.
And
always.
maybe even, participating at some point, right?
100%. I have videos and pictures and all that show it.
Yeah. And I think that adds an extra layer of motivation for us, as we progress in life. I don't have any kids myself, but I have 3 nieces and a nephew. And my eldest niece and I are particularly close. Like, she's pretty much the little sister I never had. And every time and they're all in New Jersey, every time I leave, I say, stay weird.
Oh, yeah.
Because she just has that gift of just knowing who she is at such a young age. She's 15 now. And I don't want her to ever lose that. But if I'm going to tell her that, then I got to go keep creating.
100%. You got to also stay weird.
Yeah. I can't just suddenly be normal. I'm pretty much committed to this path, no matter what. There's no turning back. And it's it gives you that extra, when you have that in your life, when you have a child or when you have somebody who you have that kind of bond with, it lights the dark hours. It helps you dig deeper than maybe you would if you didn't have that other person looking to you, right? So it's a really motivating factor. But I think at the same time, especially if you have a child, at first there is that initial shock of, I'm responsible for another person.
Wow, nobody really prepares you for that.
Yeah. And is there a way to prepare for it? Because you're getting ready, the 9 months through pregnancy, maybe even before that, but when the baby's here, and your life is intrinsically just changed forever. Right. So it's one of those things where, ready or not, here the baby comes, and fundamentally it just alters every aspect of your life.
It does. And again, it's never, I think the only thing that was ever hard about being a mom, I'd say it's not even about having a child, it's about being a mom. But being a mom in music sometimes can be really difficult because the expectations of you change, the perception of you changes. Do you know what I mean? So I worried about those things. And I think at some point in that process, I was like, who cares? Who cares? I'm going to keep creating the art that I love. And if people listen, great. And if they don't, so be it.
Right.
But it was so important to me to continue for myself, but also to show Eliza, be exactly who you are all the time, unapologetically, and you're going to live a happy life.
And that also gives you the opportunity to connect to other folks as well through your artistry, through your platform, and through your experiences. How has leaning in to everything that you are and everything your experiences helped you connect on a deeper level with your audience?
I have always worked hard, maybe to a fault, to be as authentic as humanly possible in my songwriting. Honest. Not that I feel like everybody wants my story, but I'm writing from lived experience. I need it for my own well-being, but in the hopes that there's probably a lot of people out there going through similar things. I know that music provided so much therapy for me, not mine, but other people's music provided so much therapy for me and helped me grow up. So many songs that just helped me be the person I am, that I thought, well, if I could potentially do that for somebody else, it's so important. So authenticity has always been one of the most important things. And so for a huge season, a lot of my songs had to do with grief and loss. And I think the more honest I became with some of those songs, when I would play them out, those are the songs that had people crying in the audience and coming up to me afterward and saying, thank you. I needed somebody to put to words what I have been feeling for months or for years. And you did that, and I needed that. And I think the same has been true, too, with some of the songs that I've written, whether it's for Eliza or about relationships or about life and about the world, state of the world. As musicians, as artists in general, we have a huge responsibility to put these situations, these feelings, these events into artistic form so that people can experience them and go through them easier.
Life's a beautiful struggle, and we can help people maneuver through theirs through what we create.
Right.
Who have some of those artists been for you, or some of the songs been for you?
I mean, there are so many. You know, I think obviously one of the main ones early on, just because I can remember exactly where I was the first time I heard her and everything else, is Tori Amos. She helped me go through adolescence, as she did so many, and her way of playing and, you know, just viscerally and gutturally singing, to watch her perform. You want to talk about somebody that was like, or is authentic and just did things her own way. So, you know, her, Kate Bush, same thing. And then as time passed, you know, getting into like Imogen Heap, that was a person that, you know, when I heard her sing, I was like, oh, the way she is singing is so unique. All the little beep boops that she's putting in songs are so interesting. Florence and the Machine, how theatrical she can be and how huge she will sing. It's amazing. So those are the kinds of things, and people, like on a whole, I could give you pinpointed songs from other artists, but if I had to pick, you know, several of the key artists, I'd be like Tori Amos, I would say Imogen Heap, Florence and the Machine, then, you know, a little bit like back in her 07 days, even like Sia, you know, that's another person that's just been pretty paramount for me in terms of songwriting.
And so, they all, I think, have a common thread of they're unapologetically themselves.
100%.
They're not necessarily writing to write hits. They're writing to communicate. They're writing to help share an experience, and they've all been very successful in doing that.
Correct. Yeah.
Florence and the Machine in particular is a compelling one for me, just because of the theatrics and because of just the raw power of every moment that I've ever heard from that band, right? Like, you think of a song like No Light, No Light.
Oh,
like, how grandiose it is, but it doesn't feel like it's too much. It feels so appropriate because of the way Florence is just able to communicate exactly like that feeling of, I could tell the world how I'm feeling and I can't tell you, and the inner turmoil of that is just brought so to the forefront, you know, of the entire soundscape and the way that she sings those lyrics. And it's just such a powerful moment, and it's one that can only be created when the artist is fully leaning into it and fully leaning into themselves.
Well, and I think too, all of these artists had this ability with their singing to give such subtlety. Like, can all of them belt and have huge bombastic voices? Yes. But also what's really compelling is when they are up close to the mic and you can almost hear their spit, because they are like, in this moment, I need to whisper this to you. I need to be as vulnerable as humanly possible to you. I love that. I feel that deeper. I and that all of those things have really influenced why I write the way that I write, produce the way that I produce, perform the way that I perform. It's a huge part of it.
And you've been very successful in the process.
Oh, thanks.
You've first, I want to touch on the sync stuff, because you've had some major sync placements, WWE, Casio, like Lifetime, like all these big sync placements. And that, of course, is an avenue that a lot of artists and artists who watch or listen to the show are either in the process of getting into or want to learn more about. So I'm curious to learn from you as somebody who's done that, right? Like, what would you say to an artist looking to break into the sync world? What tips, what advice would you give them?
I think there'd be several. You know, I got into it before everybody wanted it, for starters.
Right.
I got into it, I don't know, like 15, 20 years ago, where a lot of people were doing it, but not nearly as much as the people are doing it now.
Right.
And I think that what we're up against now in the sync world is different than, like, we did not, like when I was first getting into it, AI was not a thing.
Right.
We're competing against AI. We're competing against, and I wouldn't say that we're competing against other artists, because, you know, a person needs a specific kind of song and you're either it or you're not.
Right.
So I think artists never need to compete with each other,
Mm-hmm.
but competing with AI is an interesting one. And I think that's new. But one of the biggest tips that I would have when it comes to sync or really anything involving the music industry, whether it is booking shows, trying to get a publisher or a label, whatever, is, again, be an authentic person.
Yes.
Be real. Recognize that what you have, your songs or your artist persona, is your product. You have a product that this person needs. This person has a place for your product. It's still a business deal.
Yeah.
If you go into it being like, I'm the best and you need my music, like, you don't have an attitude about it. Like, your song either fits or it doesn't.
Everybody who gets in on my catalog's gonna eat. Like, that kind of attitude. Yeah.
It's not like that. It's especially with sync. In my personal opinion, some of the worst songs on the planet have been synced because they are perfect for that scene.
Right.
So it's not about good and bad. It's not about, it really is about relationships. I think so much about the industry is about relationships.
Yes.
Relationships. So how have I gotten the sync placements that I've gotten? It's been through relationships. And a lot of them started with going into an office with a company that I work with and bringing snacks and champagne to the entire office and saying, I want to play for you guys. I want to set up my keyboard and I want to play some of my music for you. This was in New York City years ago. I just want to play my songs for you. And let's hang out, get to know me. I brought like macarons, I think, and cookies and champagne. And it was like right as they were about to leave, like 5 o'clock, played a short set of like 5 songs. And talked to everybody, and I immediately started getting placements because they go, I like her. What a nice person.
Yes.
And she's got the song I need. Perfect. So we're going to place that here. That's how I got all the Dance Moms stuff.
Right.
Was through that company. And I guarantee it's because I went and sat in that office and said, let me do something for you.
Yes.
Pharmaceutical reps sell drugs because they go to hospitals and
host lunches.
And things. Like, it is a business transaction. Go be nice.
Yeah.
Have relationships. Don't have an ego about it.
Right. Be a good citizen. And don't look at it from the standpoint, I love that you brought this up. Don't look at it from the standpoint of, what can this person give to me? What can this person give to me? Instead, look at it from the standpoint of, how can I create value in exchange for the value that I hope to receive? Fair value exchange. This is what we coach people on all the time in the UMC Academy. Cheap plug. Is, how are you, from a place of your own values, delivering something unique that the other person, whoever it is, whether it's fan, collaborator, partner, person who's going to place your song, whomever, something that they're actually going to want.
Right.
Something that's actually going to be of value to them. Because I think the mistake I see a lot of artists make is, well, I'm talented and I'm good and I'm better than that artist and I'm better than that artist. Why am I not getting placed? Because nobody knows who you are.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who you are. And if you've done nothing to endear yourself to them on a personal level, you're going to continue hating on everybody else, because that's going to continue, right? You won't have the relationships. Being a good citizen of the ecosystem, whatever ecosystem you're in, is the most important thing.
Absolutely. And then also, once you build those relationships, do not abuse them. Oh my gosh, do not abuse them. When you meet and become friends with music supervisors, aren't you lucky? Do not email blast them every single time you have a new idea for a song.
Yeah.
If you have a new song, you send it to them one time. Don't know if you have a place for this, but here is my, like, I use disco to pitch music. That's like one of the more common ways for music supervisors, from what I know these days. Here's the new track. Here are the instrumentals and the TV versions, if you got a place for it. Just wanted you to have access.
Yeah.
Even better yet, if you can wait until the whole EP or album is out, send them that. Don't send them like single by single, because again, they are busy. They are busy.
Yeah.
And if you start to bombard them with email after email after email, you are going to get blocked. They are not going to help you, because again, you have not recognized the mutual relationship there. You are assuming a lot. So build relationships, be kind, recognize that you have a product that they need. They have a service for your product. Build that relationship, don't abuse it.
Yeah. And with that, I think right along with that is don't just assume because you have their email that like, oh, well, this person's going to do stuff for me. And along with that, pitch with intention. Don't send them everything like you said. Like if you have something that you think would fit a specific opportunity or something they're looking for, that is a great place to start, especially once you've built that relationship.
Only once you've built that relationship.
Right. Only, yes. And that goes hand in hand with, what value are you bringing to the table in exchange for the value that you expect to receive.
Yeah.
Right. It's the fair and balanced value exchange that we must create as human beings with each other. You think about personal relationships, it's any one-sided relationship is not a healthy one inherently, right? There has to be input from both or all parties, depending how many people are within the dynamic. And if that feels out of balance, what happens is resentment starts to build up. It starts to fracture the fabric of the relationship. You have to bring to the table something of equal value that you expect to receive back. And also don't expect to receive it.
Right. And also when you get involved in the game, for every 5 to 10, oh, we almost got it, you might get one or two of those placements. I can't tell you how many times that I've had the placement, but the scene got cut, or I've been in the top 3 of songs and mine didn't make it. There's a lot of disappointments, and that's okay because you will get one. You just keep plowing through it and be excited when you do. And here's the thing too. I am constantly flabbergasted by musicians that I talk to who say, I really want to get involved in the sync game. I just really want my music in TV and movies. My first question is, awesome. What's your favorite sync placement you've ever heard in a TV or a film? And if you cannot answer that, you hadn't done your homework.
Right.
Then why are you doing that? You just want your song out there? I could easily talk to you about some pivotal song moments in TV and film. I'm obsessed with, I told you, I'm a horror movie fanatic. So I know what kind of songs will fit. So I think knowing some of that is super important too. Making sure that it's not just not just an ego game for you, but it's something that is exciting because you love music so much. Or you love TV and film so much.
Yeah, not just an ego game, not just a money game.
Right.
But understanding how you are equipped as an artist to serve particular moments and what type of moments. Because depending on your artistry, depending on the type of music you like to write, that might be different from artist to artist to artist. You might have people that really lean into the cinematic world, as far as maybe horror movie scoring or sci-fi epic, that kind of thing. Or you might have folks that write, for their artist projects, and those songs might be a good fit somewhere. But again, it all comes back to authenticity. Where are you writing from in the first place? What do you like to create? And where can you see that fitting? And then who can you build those relationships with?
Absolutely.
I love it. So dropping game on you here on the Quinn Spinn. So thanks for sharing all that, because I think that's going to be really helpful to a lot of artists, because at the same time, a lot of folks don't know where to begin. And I think when we come into this, I think no matter where we enter the creative journey, at first we all have that naivete of oh, I'm just going to start doing the thing and someone's going to care. And 6 months later, I'm going to be from here to here. It doesn't work that way. You have to continue putting the work in, and you have to continue iterating and finding better ways to provide that value.
Absolutely. And remember that nobody is going to care about your music more than you. So if you are not willing to put the work in, nobody else is.
That's a lesson in the book. I don't know what number, but it is in 60 plus lessons. I'm just shamelessly plugging all my things.
I love it. You should.
Yeah, there we go. Available now on Amazon and Ingram Spark, and in person if you're here in Nashville, because I have a couple boxes in my car.
Sweet.
I want to talk about your artistry too, because you've had a busy year so far with your artistry. Already dropped a couple singles, have more on the way, perhaps an EP. So tell us a little bit about where you've come as an artist and what we can expect.
Where I've come as an artist, all over the place. If you really went on any of the streaming sites and listened to where I started to where I am now, it's all over the place. And I am a big believer in leaving everything that I've released in the world to be experienced.
Represents the moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For better or for worse. And the stuff that I've been putting out recently, I would say that it started with, actually back in September, with releasing Take a Number. That would have been the first single. And then starting this year, they're coming out roughly every 6 to 8 weeks. So Drown in the Desert was first, and then Phoenix on Fire just came out on Friday. I will have Smolders that will come out in May, and then Burn probably in July.
A lot of fire themes here.
Exactly.
Mm.
The EP is called Pyrotechnicolor.
Oh.
So it's a lot of, it applies to a lot. These songs were not all written together.
Mhm.
They were not even all written in the same decade. One of them is 10 years old and never saw the light of day. But now it made sense with this. Everything has their time. It has its time.
Right.
But one thing that, felt so true about a lot of aspects of not only my life, but just of the world is a lot of people feeling like things are just burning to the ground. Like whether that is personal, whether you are a parent and you feel like you are frantic and exploding at the seams all the time, whether you have anxiety about the state of the world, whether you are struggling within your job. I mean, you name it. There's a lot of like anxiety and angst and stress that I felt this conflagration coming. And we have an opportunity to burn and then rise from the ashes and start all over. So that's the kind of overarching theme loosely of the EP.
Yeah.
And so it started with Take a Number, and we've burned it all down, and now we're like starting to build.
Yeah. And I think that's relatable for anybody, right? Because we all hit those points in our lives where we've just got to burn it down.
Yep.
Or burn a part of it down at least. Like there are certain points we get to where certain aspects of our lives, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whatever it is, doesn't really serve where we're going, doesn't align with the person that we've grown into, right?
Right.
And in those situations, you can listen to Mary's music and find something you'll be able to relate to.
Hope so.
Whether it's already out or it's coming soon.
That's right.
So I love how you're able to just connect it all back to your life and your world and leave that open to interpretation for the listener. I think that's a really powerful thing. I think that's the mark of a great songwriter, right?
Well,
is to take what they've experienced and put it out in the world in such a way that the person hearing it can assign their own meaning to it. Dave Grohl had that quote. I think you could sing one of these songs and 80,000 people will be singing it back to you, and each one for a different reason.
Absolutely.
So the ability that you give your audience to find themselves in your music is, I think, certainly a powerful thing, and something that certainly sets you apart as an artist.
Well, thank you. Absolutely. Well, I think I think the real example of that is the song I recently released, which is Phoenix on Fire. And that I wrote with co-writer Coley O'Toole. And we actually wrote it from the perspective of a horror movie villain, as if this is their story.
Right.
But with the goal of being ambiguous enough that it could be relatable to the person listening. And what is wild is that having written that in a space in my life, that was the one that was 10 years old at this point. With him in that room, having the life that I was having at that point, that song has now transcended space and time to right now. And it brings up whole new feelings for me even now. Still about the horror movie villain, but it's still applicable for me as well. So I'm hoping that can, with all the songs, I want that to be the case, that you can relate to it directly.
And that meaning might change over time for the listener as well. And that's the powerful thing about this wonderful medium of ours in the music world is you might hear a song for the first time and, relate to what you're going through in that moment. 10 years later, you might hear that same song with 10 more years of experience and have an entirely different meaning attached to it, but it still brings up those same feelings and it still helps light the way forward.
Yeah.
So in addition to your artistry, in addition to crushing the sync game, you've got a couple other things going on. You mentioned you're a bolo tie maker.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, here's the thing. When you're an indie artist, you got to make your money somewhere.
Yep.
So, have lots of passions. And if you ran down the list of jobs that I have had throughout the past 20 years.
I was thinking the same thing before.
Oh my gosh, the list of jobs, it's comical. But what has always stayed very true about me is that I really love music. I really love fashion
Mhm.
and, dressing weird. And so the bolo tie thing came about just because I decided to like change my style and my brand back in like 2013 or 14
Mhm.
as an artist. I was at the time wearing like tutus and t-shirts and like fascinator hats.
Hmm.
And then I was like, no, I want to go more androgynous and wear suit jackets and
Mhm.
ties. And I went to a yard sale and found a bolo tie
Mhm.
and loved it. I was like, ooh, bolo tie. But like I don't want like a, Southwestern bolo tie. I want like the 80s.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
Ducky from Pretty in Pink.
Okay, yeah.
Like that
Mhm.
vibe.
Mhm.
But I couldn't find any. Back then they were not as popular as they are now.
Right.
So I started making them just for myself.
Mhm.
And then my manager at the time, Nick, was actually the one that was like, okay, well, instead of like selling t-shirts at your shows, you should sell your bolo ties.
Mhm.
It's like your brand. And I did, and then they kind of just blew up. And so I started doing the bolo tie game, and now I have other accessories that I add along with them and, sell them through like Etsy or on my website or
Mhm.
at festivals
Mhm.
or whatever. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we'll cover where we can find all the things online
sure.
in a little bit, but yeah, I love what you bring up. As far as you need to have different hustles, and I think that's another important thing for artists to keep in mind is
Mhm.
like you're not going to make all your money off of your music, like right off the bat, and it might take you a long time to get there. Have other things that you're passionate about. Have other things that can bring money in. There's no shame in making a living, paying rent, eating.
Right.
Keeping your pets, your children alive and happy as well. Like we all have these responsibilities in life that we need to balance out with, it's life and the dream, and we need to keep those things in balance. And sometimes it might feel like one's getting more attention than the other, but it's up to us to make it work.
Absolutely.
Right. And finding things that you're passionate about that you can dive into is
Absolutely.
a great way to do that. I also want to ask about Fame and Fiction because,
Yeah.
of course, you perform with Fame and Fiction as
Mhm.
well. Amazing band based here in Nashville, 6-piece band. Any Fame and Fiction news that we should keep an eye out for?
Of course, always. So we were just in the studio. I don't know. Time is amorphous. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
What
I
is
can't
time?
remember.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we were recently in the studio recording a new song. So, we need to get it mixed and all that kind of stuff. But it will be presumably out pretty soon. A song called Rest. And in addition to that, we have a show on April 24th. I think that's right. I'm almost positive that's right. Where we are playing for the Lips Speak Louder EP release.
Ooh, okay.
So it'll be Lips Speak. I can't remember all the people on the bill, but it's for their EP release, and we will be playing as well.
Where's that show?
East Room.
Okay. I remember the first time I saw Fame and Fiction was at the East Room. And honestly, everything from 2022 till now blurs together. I don't know what year it was. It might have been 2022 or 23. But if you've never been to a Fame and Fiction show, you need to go. And that's a perfect opportunity to do it. And with Lips Speak Louder on the bill, who are also coming on the show and onto the stage right after you.
I was hanging out with them before this.
Yeah. So they're coming right in here. We're going to talk to them too. That's an amazing project as well. So that's going to be a great night at the East Room, April 24th, you said?
I think that's right. I'm really bad at dates. I'm almost positive that's right, though.
Okay. Well, April 24th, and
they'll correct, like on their podcast, they'll correct if it's wrong.
Yeah, and we'll put it in the description either way.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to find that. So that's exciting. So many things in the works for you, Mary. And one thing I want to ask you, one more question here before we start to wrap up and tell people where they can learn more about you and follow the journey. If there's one lesson that you've learned throughout the course of your creative journey that a younger you would have benefited from knowing, that you'd go back and teach your younger self or somebody just starting out, what would you say the most important lesson is for
I
you?
mean, that is an easy one for me. Something that I've also passed on to Eliza and will continue to. My friend Caroline Hill, who is an amazing artist, she's the one who said this to me, and it is, don't ever follow trends. If you follow trends, you will always be a little bit behind. Be unapologetically and authentically yourself, and eventually that trend is going to find you. And when it does, you're going to be at the top of it. And I can't tell you how absolutely useful that has been. Do yourself 100%. You, as you are awesome. So let the trend find you.
Mm-hmm.
Let the appreciation find you.
Become the trend.
Exactly.
You will
'cause
become the trend.
if you try and trend chase, you're just going to be right behind it.
And we see so much of that, especially, with the advent of TikTok over the past few years.
Man.
Everyone's trying to chase these trends. How do I go viral? How do I do this? How do I do that? If you go viral, first of all, I want to just rant about virality, because if you go viral but don't have a plan for what you're going to do after that happens, it doesn't matter, because you're going to go up and you're going to come down. You've got to have the infrastructure laid out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number one. Number two, it's the law of diminishing returns. Every iteration of the same thing gets less and less traction, gets less and less attention. So, yeah, one thing I keep seeing, and not to offend any artists who do this, but like you just discovered a small band from such and such, follow me and I'll give you a ticket to my next show. Like, so many people are doing that we're just scrolling past it now. You know what I mean? You've got to find a way to be your unique self in everything that you do. Look at like the Lady Gagas of the world. She is a prime example of an artist who from the beginning has done this and continues to reinvent and evolve. And no matter what project she's working on, her fans are there because it's her.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's a new album like the one she just released, whether that's a movie, whether that's singing jazz with Tony Bennett, like whatever it is, her fans are there because she's Lady Gaga, not because of a sound, not because of a trend. Taylor Swift's another one. The Swifties are always in force, no matter what she's doing creatively. And they're always ready and willing to dig into it because of the way that she's connected with them from a place of who she is, but also she's connected with something in them.
Absolutely.
She knows her demographic. She knows her fan base, and it's predominantly a lot of teenage young adult women, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does she speak to them? Probably better than anybody ever has in this industry, right? And she keeps doing it and finding ways. And as she grows, she's finding ways to incorporate that personal growth and that personal journey into what she does, right? But it's hers. It's always been hers. Gaga, Taylor Swift, like you can name your favorite artist. What is it about that artist that draws you in? It's never a trend. It's never the TikTok that you saw of them. It's something more, and it's something that connects to you.
Well, and I can't stress this enough. When you continue to, especially when it comes to social media, when you continue to follow trends on social media, nobody knows who you actually are. Nobody knows what you are about. And so whatever it is that you are as a brand, if you're going to go the music route, then whatever that brand is, do it and lean into it. Like completely. If you are like moody, broody, like elusive, theatrical, whatever, go for it. If you're like, funny, do dances, whatever, lean into that. But stick with it because that's your brand now. And people need to know. I got to tell you, one of the most kind of frustrating experiences I had is that I actually had one video that went viral on my Instagram. And it got, I think it's up to it's over 1 million views. It's absurd. And it was because I'm a thrifter and I go to estate sales. And I found a really cool thing in an estate sale that had to do with like the house. And so I took a video of it and I posted it and got so many views. I got so many ads. Guess what? None of those people care about at all my music.
Right.
Like they care about thrifting and about, estate sales. I'm not posting about estate sales all the time. So I now have this chunk of people on Instagram that follow me that are not going to engage with my stuff.
Yeah.
So it's so important to make sure that what you are posting is directly related. Maybe like one-offs here and there is fine, but always be yourself and be on brand for you so that you can hopefully capture those people to listen, go stream your songs or come to your shows and things like that.
Right. Yeah, and I've found that too. Like whenever we've gone as Underground Music Collective and covered like a major event and we're posting the YouTube shorts of these major artists, right? That's great for like, the dopamine hit of new subscribers and a lot of views, right? But do those people stick around to read the review of this indie artist song or this indie artist who's in a completely different genre? No, they don't engage past that moment of I saw Jelly Roll on your YouTube shorts and now I subscribed, but now when you start posting other stuff, I'm actually going to unsubscribe because where's Jelly Roll? Love Jelly Roll, by the way. Just using him as an example because that was the most recent one of these that we did, or the major event, right? And it's like that stuff is great, like to build your numbers up, but it's quality over quantity at this point, right? Like who is really there to tap in with your platform? And it's the people that care about you and what you do. And how do you engage and continue to reach those people? And how do you continue to give them something, again, coming back to that value conversation, that they're going to want to stick around for,
Right.
and they're going to want to tell other people about? How are you creating an experience that is aligned with them, that's also aligned with you?
Yeah, exactly.
Mary Jennings joining us on the Quinn Spin. This has been fantastic. We have dropped
Yay.
all sorts of gems here on the show. Well, you have. I've just kind of been here to move
whatever.
things along. Before we wrap up, I want to give people a chance to know where they can learn more about you online.
Pretty much anywhere you are interested in streaming things, social media, whatever, I'm probably there. My website, maryjennings.com, is the easiest way to be linked to everything. I've got links to all the social media there, to the streaming services, and even to my bolo ties and things there.
Mm-hmm.
My bolo tie name is No Sass Creations, so you can look that up as well. But yeah, pretty much anywhere. Mary Jennings Music, if you Google it, I will come up.
And this has been the Quinn Spin. 2 N's in Quinn, 2 N's in Spin. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and more. Also on the socials at Quinn Spin Official on Instagram in particular. Underground Music Collective, of course, is our central hub for all things independent music, creativity, community, and more. UMCNashville.com will take you to everything you need to access all the other stuff. You can also find us on Instagram at UMC Worldwide now, because Meta meted us at 5,000 followers. Still salty about that, but that's okay. We're also on LinkedIn and, of course, YouTube, where you might be watching this episode right now.
Nice.
Also, join our Underdogs community, umcnashville.com/join. We are building a community of independent artists and creators the world over. And we're having tons of opportunities for you to connect, not only here in Nashville, but elsewhere, abroad even, and even more to come. We're going to be bringing more people in to educate our community on all the things they need to know to have successful careers. Our goal is to create a new industry because, frankly, it needs to be more fair and equitable for the people actually creating. How do we give creators the power? Find out. umcnashville.com/join. Also, UMC Academy, we've got Brand Camp rolling right now, always open to helping new people discover their creative visions. So if you want to learn more about that, umcnashville.com/academy. And then one more plug, 60-plus lessons from the creative journey, out now. That's my debut book. And it talks about a lot of the things that we talk about on this show. A couple lessons were lightly referenced here. And it tells you about the whole journey from starting this very podcast in my childhood bedroom up until now, sitting here talking to Mary. So go find that on Amazon and Ingram Spark, or if you're in Nashville and hopefully some other places soon, pick up a physical copy there. Revel 9's All It Become, going to take us out like it brought us in. Grab some muffins on the way out.
I'm alive.